Otherwise, it is on Seesaw. We're going to learn about words in context. This is really similar to the lesson we did. It wasn't last week. I think it was the week before, where we talked about context clues. Remember how we talked about using clues from the text to help us understand what the word means. So words in context are kind of going to help us do the same thing. So our learning target for this week is that we are going to notice when authors are using words and phrases in special ways so that we can understand and enjoy a story more. So just like how, have you guys ever heard the expression, it's raining cats and dogs, right? Like you look outside, oh my gosh, it's raining cats and dogs today. Are there actually cats and dogs falling from the sky?
No.
There's not, right? It just means it's raining a ton. And who knows where that came from, right? But it's a non-literal meaning. It's just something people say as an expression. Just a second.
I'll be right back, Miss Mary.
Okay. To write myself a note really quick before I forgot something, because that's how my brain works. All right. So words and phrases. Go ahead, Rodolfo.
On my Seesaw page, it don't show that.
It doesn't have this?
No.
Here, I think Miss
The math or reading.
Okay. Let me look. I think Miss McCullough gave me access to hers. Let me look at her activities. 7-4. She doesn't have any scheduled. Let me give her a text real quick. All right, thank you for letting me know. I think I have access to be able to assign them to you. Let me try. I've never tried to assign it from another teacher's before, but I'm going to give it my best shot here. Let's see. Words in context, assign to homeroom. Assign it. Okay. So I think that one worked. Let me look at the math real quick. There we go. I'm sorry. She should have assigned that for today. Okay. Try refreshing your page. I just assigned them to you from her account. So hopefully that worked. Sophia, you don't have it either. You're in Miss McCullough's class also, right? Yeah. Okay. So Miss McCullough's kids, try refreshing your Seesaw. Hopefully it worked when I sent it to you. Rodolfo, did it work? Fingers crossed. Rodolfo, did it work? Fingers crossed. It worked. Awesome. Okay. I'm so glad you guys have it now. Perfect. Yeah, I'm not sure why that wasn't assigned. I texted her though, but I'm glad you guys have it now. At least I have access to your Seesaw now, so I can send it to you. That's pretty cool. Okay. So we're on page 1. This is the reading that you should have just gotten. Lesson 12, words in context. It says words and phrases may have more than one meaning. For example, a clown is someone who works for the circus. That's its literal or its usual meaning. But if you call your friend a clown, you don't literally mean that he or she is a circus clown. You just mean that your friend's behavior is silly. You're using the non-literal meaning of clown. Non-literal means not literal or the not usual meaning. So like they said, if you're like, oh my gosh, you're being such a clown, They're not actually have a red nose, right? And they're not juggling balls in a circus, right? They're just acting really silly like a clown. You're using a metaphor or a non-literal meaning. So you're using it to describe their behavior, not to say what they actually are, right? Authors often use non-literal language to describe story characters, settings, and events more colorfully. That means more like kind of more in a fun way. If you come across a word or a phrase with an unexpected meaning, use context clues, nearby words, phrases, and sentences to figure out its meaning. We're going to read this passage and we're going to notice the underlined phrases and see if they are literal or non-literal meanings. So if it's actually what it says, or if it's just talking about kind of what they're acting like or what it looks like. It says, Arthur liked nothing better than to stay up reading long after he was supposed to be asleep. He would pull up his blanket over his head like a tent, turn on his book light, and get lost in his story. Tonight, though, his dad caught him. Turn off that night, you night owl, said his dad. You've got school tomorrow. Now, I was this kid when I was in school. I would stay up all night reading books way after I was supposed to be asleep. And my mom would come in and be like, why are you still awake? Go to bed. I'm like, I'm in bed, but I want to read my book. And so I would be a night owl. Now, am I actually an owl that can like fly and stuff? No, right? I wish. That would be awesome. But a night owl is an expression that means you stay up late at night. You might also hear this like some people will ask, oh, are you a morning person or a night owl? That means that you like to stay up late at night. You like to get things done at nighttime. The other expression they used is get lost in his story. Did he actually open the pages and jump in and can't find his way out like he was lost? No, it means that you were so enthralled in your book. You were so excited to read it and you were so into it that you kind of forget about what's happening around you, right? So to get lost in his book just means that he was really focused on what he was reading.
Miss Mandarin.
Yes.
Do you write this?
Yes, please. Anything I write, I would love for you to write as well. That way, when you go back and you do the rest of your lesson, if you kind of forget what these expressions mean, you can go back and remember that. I just heard the doorbell. Oscar, thanks for joining us. You're kind of late though, buddy. Remember, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Pull this up on your seesaw, please.
Okay. Never I'm on it. Done.
Awesome. All right, go ahead. And I'm just going to leave this up for a minute. I know some of us are still typing. You can type done in the chat when you're done typing this. That way I know we're ready to move on to the next page.
How do I use it? Separate.
I couldn't quite hear you, Jose. Say that again.
How do you separate?
Your internet's kind of lagging. Type it in the chat for me, please, okay? Because I can't hear anything you're saying. Like it's just really broken apart. I'm sorry. Okay. All right, I am going to post this video on YouTube later, so no worries. So if you aren't quite finished with it, or if you need to go back to another page, don't trip chocolate chip. It'll be on my YouTube page later, and you guys all know how to get there. That way you can rewatch it as many times as you need to, and you can pause me, you can fast forward me. You're like, I don't want to hear talking about this, and just fast forward to the part you need. So no worries, okay? All right, let's move to page 2. So page 2 is where we're going to look at those 2 phrases that we just read from that little story. How do you do a split screen? Let me show you. I have a picture for that. If you press these 2 buttons at the same time, my picture's going to pop up here in just a second. Press those 2 buttons and it will get you a split screen. I heard the doorbell. If you are just joining me, please type your name in the chat so I can get you marked for attendance. Thank you. All right, I'm going to leave this up for 5 seconds. All right. So the chart below shows how to use context clues to find the meaning of non-literal words and phrases. First, look at the literal meanings, and then read the context clues from the passage. Finally, write what you think the phrases mean in the passage. So we kind of did that on page 1, didn't we? We're just basically going to transfer that information here. So the literal meaning of a night owl is a big-eyed bird that's usually awake at night, right? In our context clues from the story, he stays up reading. His dad says, you should be asleep. He's awake later than he's supposed to be. So what's the meaning of night owl? You can either press the raised hand button or type it in the chat. Let's see. Ethan, go ahead. What is the meaning of night owl?
A person that stays asleep in a late hour.
Stays asleep or stays awake?
Stays awake.
Awake, right? Yeah, because they should be sleeping, but instead they're awake. So the meaning in the passage is a person that stays awake late at night. Yes, Eden, they like to do things in the night instead of the morning. Absolutely. I myself am not a night owl and I'm not a morning person either. I am like an afternoon kind of girl. You know what I mean? Like anything that's going to get done, it's going to get done between like 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. And that's my All right. So now let's look at our next one. It says getting lost, not knowing where you are, how you get, or how to get to where you want to go. So if I get lost, like in the grocery store, I might not know where I'm at. And let's say I'm trying to get to the register and I don't know how to get there, right? That's the literal meaning of get lost. When he says he got lost in his story, what does that mean? What does it mean to be lost in your story? It's not that he doesn't know where to go. Eden, what is it?
Like you're really into the book.
Yeah, he was really into the book, right? So he wasn't really aware of things that were going on around him. So he's really focused on what he's reading and unaware of things around him. Really focused on what he was reading, not aware of things around him, right? Like maybe he was aware of how much time had passed. Jose, do you have a question or are you going to give an answer?
I was going to give an answer.
Okay. All right, Ethan, did you have a question or were you going to give an answer? I just want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Devaney, go ahead.
I just want to tell you that I'm done.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Go ahead and type done in the chat when you guys are done. That way I know we're ready to move on to page 3. Oh, hey, Lupita, I'm glad you're here. You must have been the person that snuck in with the doorbell. We are on lesson 12 for Ready Reading. This should be on your seesaw. Okay, looks like you guys are all done. Good to go. All right, we're going to move on to page 3. All right. So this story is called Seaside Surprises. So again, our goal today is that we are going to be looking for non-literal meanings of words. So they're going to be using expressions and phrases that literally would not make sense, right? That if we use the actual meaning of it, it wouldn't make sense. So we're using the non-literal meaning. So what they meant by it, right? By using our context clues. So this is called Seaside Surprises by Wendell Riley. I didn't know what to expect when my family went hiking on the Oregon coast. I'd never seen the Pacific Ocean before, but I sure knew what I wanted to see, a whale. After a picnic lunch, we hiked through a thick rainforest. We saw chipmunks, a lizard, and a hawk. The trail gently snaked its way up the steep mountainside to the top of a huge rocky cliff with a great view of the ocean. But I couldn't spot any whales. And then we heard something move through the woods right behind us. We turned and there stood a huge elk with giant antlers. We all froze in place, barely breathing, until the animal slowly walked away. Then we finally relaxed. We all started laughing and jumping around in excitement. Next, the trail wound down to a sandy beach. Waves hammered the shore. We saw seagulls, crabs, clams, and even some seals happily baking themselves out on the warm rocks, but no whales. It was fun, but it was time to go. Everyone else started walking back to our trail. But my eyes were locked on the ocean. And then it happened. Not just one whale, but a whole pod of them broke the surface of the water. I was stunned that I could barely shout, "Look, So we need to go back through and think about some of these words and phrases, right? Some of these words and phrases on here that had a non-literal meaning. Eden, go ahead.
Paragraph 4, the what do you call it, where it says, but my, wait. Oh, where it says they broke the surface.
Mhm.
That's one.
Yes, that is one. Jose Luis, yes, you do have this story because I'm looking right now at my Seesaw on my phone and it has your name listed for lesson 12, unit opener.
I checked. I just checked, but I never saw it.
Jose Luis, look, here's the activity. And when I look, there is your name, Jose Luis Ruiz. You do have it. You have to refresh your screen maybe, but it is there on your activity list. You might have to scroll down a bit. Mia, go ahead.
On paragraph 4, when it says my eyes were locked.
Yes, good. So I know Eden had said, they broke the surface of the water. Good. And you had said my eyes were locked on the ocean. What are some other ones? I noticed that when it said the trail gently snaked its way up, there wasn't actually a snake, right? It's saying that it kind of wound its way up. What are some other
How do I refresh my screen?
What was that, Jose? Go ahead and type it in the chat, buddy. I couldn't quite hear you. What are some other ones I see in here? And paragraph 2, there's a couple more that I'm missing. Sophia, go ahead.
Waves hammered the shore.
Yes, absolutely. Wow, what a great one. Isn't that awesome? When it says that the waves hammered the shore. Now, is the water standing out there like on Moana where it can grab things with a hammer and actually hammering on the shore? It's not, right? That would be crazy. But it means that it's hitting it so hard that it's like a hammer. That's a really great non-literal meaning. Any other words? How do you refresh? Jose, click the address bar at the top right here. When it turns blue, then press enter. It'll refresh the page for you. Let's see, there was another one here too. It says that we froze in place. I'm pretty sure Elsa wasn't there at the Oregon coast, right? Using her ice powers to freeze them.
Which one?
Jose Luis, we're on lesson 12, this activity. We've been on this activity for half an hour. It's been there for half an hour. So if you have
I know, but how do you?
How do you what?
Refresh the screen.
Click up here. You see your address bar? You're gonna click it, and then you're gonna press enter. But it's been there since you've been on Zoom with us, buddy. Okay. If you need help, your mom might be there to help you a little bit, to help you refresh your screen, but it's been there. Okay. Okay. And Jose, this will be on YouTube later, so you'll still have to catch up on pages 1 and 2 if you haven't written those down. Or you can write with a pencil and paper, Jose, and just type it on Seesaw later. It's your choice. Okay. Just make sure you're keeping up with us the best you can. And then if you need a rewatch on YouTube later, you'll be able to do that. Okay, let's make sure we didn't miss any. There's so many great analogies in here, so much really good creative language in here that the author uses to paint us a picture, right? She didn't just say that, oh, the trail went up the mountainside. She said it gently snaked its way up. So it's saying that like a snake kind of has twists and turns, right? It's slowly moving its way up like a snake would. She doesn't just say we stood really still. She said we froze in place. You can imagine how still they're holding because they see these huge elk with these giant antlers, right? They're not sure what they're going to do. So they're not just saying we stood still. They froze in place. The waves didn't just crash on the shore. They didn't just hit the shore. They hammered the shore. It shows that the waves are hitting the shore so hard. It says seals happily baking themselves out on warm rocks. And I have to show you guys a meme because every time I read this, it cracks me up. Let me show you this meme because every time it reminds me of it. Hold on, I've got to Google it real quick, but it's a good one, I promise. So someone had posted, my neighbor's dog won't stop baking when they meant to type barking. And it's a picture of a dog looking like he's making cookies or pie or something, saying, I have no idea what I'm doing. And it cracks me up every time. It's probably one of the like dumbest memes ever, but it's so funny to me because he's just sitting there like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And this reminds me of it because it says the seals are happily baking themselves on the warm rocks. Are the seals there making muffins? They're not, right? They're not there with their little oven mitts making muffins or anything like that. When it says they're baking themselves on the warm rocks, it means that they're laying there in the sun, right? Getting nice and warm. So like they were baking in an oven, they're laying there to get all of that heat. When it says we were walking back to the trail, the eyes were locked on the ocean. Now there was no lock on your eyes, right? To make them stay in the same spot. But it's saying that they didn't move. When something is locked, it doesn't move. Their eyes were not moving from the ocean. When the whales broke the surface of the water, they didn't just say, oh, they came out of the water. They broke the surface because when you see something like crash in the water or come out of the water, you guys ever been to a pool and someone does a cannonball? Right? Someone dives into the water and you see psh, big old splash, right? So that's kind of what they're talking about.
Just like the picture.
Yes, absolutely. Just like in the picture. When someone comes out of the water or goes into the water, it breaks the surface. Now, you can't actually break water, right? It's a liquid. You can't break it. But it looks like it's broken because the rest is pretty calm and smooth. And then psh, you get this huge splash. So it looks as if it's breaking. Lots of non-literal language here. It's so good that helps detail this story. So when we go to page 4, it's going to ask us about some of these literal meanings and to complete the chart like we did on page 2. When you use a word or a phrase that's literal or unusual meaning doesn't make sense, look for context clues to help you figure out what the author really means. So for this chart, they chose the phrase froze in place. We want to complete the chart to figure out the meaning. Now, frozen place literally means, or it actually means, that it turns from water into ice, right? You guys can see that on Frozen. Elsa freezes Anna, right? And then she freezes into place at the end like, no. And then she melts and it's yay, all happy again, right? Spoiler alert, but I'm pretty sure you guys have all seen Frozen. So they're not actually frozen in place, are they? And they said that they're barely breathing. So what does that mean? They're frozen in place. They didn't actually turn to ice, but what does it mean? Frozen in place. What does that phrase mean? Let's see. Isabella, what do you think it means? If they're frozen in place, how are they standing?
Still.
Yes, they're very still. They're not moving at all, are they? Yes, Eden, they're staying in the same place. So they're staying very, very still in the same place. Staying very, very still and probably very quiet also, aren't they? And very quiet because it says they're barely breathing. They don't want to make a noise. So I'll leave this up for a minute for you to write that down.
Miss Mannering,
Yes.
I like the book that you gave me.
Oh, good. Which one was it? I'm trying to remember. Was it an I Survived or no?
Yeah.
It was, right? Oh, those books are so good. They're some of my favorites.
I already finished my book
Oh, you did too? That's
the,
great.
the first day.
You did. Was it a Magic Tree House for you, Ethan, or did I give you a different one?
Yeah,
Magic Tree House.
it was a Magic Tree House. It was the 8th book.
Yes, Magic Tree House, I Survived, Big Nate. Those are all such great series. So that's why I tried to give you guys each one from a series, because if you like that book, chances are you will love all of the other books because they have this very similar style of writing and similar storylines. So definitely make sure
like
you check
my
out some of the other books. Mia, did you like yours too? Yeah, was yours a Magic Tree House
Yeah.
also?
No,
Which one did I
I
get?
like mine.
it was Mrs. Ruby is Loopy.
Oh, right. That's right. The My Weird School series. Those ones are really fun too. And I have the whole series of those ones too. So if you guys want to borrow another one of those books sometime, just make sure when you're done with it, it goes in the quarantine cubby. But they're
But where
really
they are?
I'm done with it.
perfect. So whenever you're in class next, if you put it in the quarantine cubby, you can grab the next book from the shelf and you can read the whole series if you want. I've got almost the whole series for, I think, Magic Tree House, I Survived, My Weird School, and I've got a couple other series. I think I've got like 6 Big Nate books. I try to collect series. They're my favorites.
Yeah, I'm barely halfway through.
Nice. They're really good.
I have the name.
Go ahead and press the raise hand button, please, if you are not quite done with this yet. That way I know just to wait a minute for you. I don't want to move too fast. And then we have our written piece on page 5. Okay. Looks like we're all good to go. Yeah. Okay. This will also be on YouTube later again, so that way if you need to go back, it will be there, I promise. So this is our last piece for reading. It's called Seaside Surprises. Look at the description on paragraph 3. Oh, this was another one we highlighted. Describe the literal meaning of hammered, and then explain how it is used in the text. Tell which context clues help you figure out the meaning. So hint, use what you know about the actual hammers to picture how the waves must have looked, sounded, and felt. So first, let's start with the literal meaning. Hammered means to hit something with a hammer, right? To hit something hard with a hammer. in the text, they say the waves hammered the shore. I think the author means that the waves hit the shore. Not hardly. It's not really a word, is it? That they hit the shore hard and it was loud, maybe? What do you guys think? When you hit something with the hammer, it's pretty loud, right?
Yes.
So it means that you're hitting something with the hammer, but in the text, they say the waves hammered the shore. I think the author means the waves hit the shore hard and it was loud. So I'll leave that up for you for a minute to write down. Once you are done with this, you will be able to press that green check mark to turn it in.